we're going to hit this little button right here, I believe. No, we got to go up here and hit this thing. There it is. I'm really hoping that gets pumped out to the channel, but I have no idea if it does or not. And here we are with our sweet, beautiful, ugly mugs. What's going on there, Buttercup?
Oh, not a whole lot there, my dude. How are you doing?
Sexually frustrated.
I can't help you in that regard, man.
Sure
I can listen to you. I listen to it. No, I cannot.
You may not like it, but you could totally help me with that.
That would imply that I consent to that, and I sure as hell do not consent to anything regarding your lower region.
What's a little rape between friends? No?
God damn it, don't make me laugh when I'm about to take something. Drink,
what are you taking?
Drink of Fresca. Oh, just Fresca.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's it.
I'm cracking the lid on my deal here on my my 7-Up, and I'll pour a little of this because I'm a little raspy. I've spent the last week training at work, my buddy Dave, and between yelling at him over the volume of the truck and some other stuff, it's been a week, man. I kind of half-assed lost my voice a little bit. So we'll keep that sucker nice and moist, which is my favorite new word, besides the C word that the English people like to say. Throw that around. And we'll start this sucker off. You know what? I'm going to actually smash this button and see if this pumps out, because I don't know if it will or not. In fact, let's just see what happens when I hit the intro.
Okay.
Do I want this one? Yeah, see? We got problems right out of the gate, man. I'm going to hit that back there. And I think what I want to do is I think I want to go to B2 on this one.
Okay. There we go. This guy. This guy over here.
It's funny that you're moaning in the background, Jay.
Am I moaning?
A little bit.
I was like,
You were doing a pretty sweet, funny thing there. So, welcome to the Murder Hobo RPG Show, proud member of the Tabletop RPG Network. This is episode 27, recorded December number 9, 2020. I'm one of your hosts, Gary, a.k.a. the Murder Hobo, and I am here with the Master Blaster of Colon Disaster. I just worked that one in there last night. Uncle J. Raz, A.A.K.A. I should say, not A.A. You're not an Alcoholic Anonymous guy.
No.
A.K.A. Crapton Colon.
Ta-da! How's it going there, Gary?
It's going fantastic. Now that you're here, we get to hang out. We get to do our little hour of talking about RPGs. You're not a salty Frenchman. You know what I mean? It's all good.
Yeah, speaking of which, how's old Eric doing? I need to say hi to him.
Yeah, he said he's reached out a few times, and you've just kind of blown him off. And I'm like, that sounds about right, because you're salty.
No, I need it. Well, no, it's just like the ways and means that I like hit me up. Are just like I'd rather hit him up like through Discord or something like that.
You mean
so
like through the face?
I know it's just like through like Kickstarter and stuff like that. It wasn't that I was ignoring him. I'm like, I don't really want to respond through Kickstarter. So yeah, I'll hit him up. I'll hit him through a different way, like Discord or whatever.
I wish I could ignore him.
No, you guys are like tied for life, man. You guys have like some sort of. He's got some like shit over your head, so that's why you guys are like,
He's just like herpes, man. You think you got rid of him, but he just keeps coming back. So, what's new and exciting? What's the haps? Actually, let's hit this thing. This is a podcast about role-playing games in general. General RPG podcast. As usual, we're going to ramble incoherently and attempt to sound like we know what we're talking about. We are an RPG entertainment podcast, and although you might occasionally be able to glimpse a nugget of truth or inspiration from our many years of gaming experience, we promise it's completely going to be accidental.
That's right. So with that out of the way, we are going to wrap up what has probably been the longest year of everybody's life so far.
Man, this year has dragged harder than my old scrotum.
Right? Across probably gravel and glass and everything like that too, if you could just imagine dragging your old wrinkly ass scrot over some broken glass and and some gravel and whatnot. That's kind of you can kind of equate that to what this year has been like for a lot of people
Buddy,
and
it
all that too.
is December 9th, and I am just ecstatic that I am not dead this year.
Yeah, me too. That I've made it this far. I
You
mean,
know what I mean? It's been
yeah.
3-4 months since I crapped my pants, and
Hmm.
I'm still breathing, so life is good. Life
Yeah.
is not too shabby, man.
Yep.
How did your gaming week go? You got anything on the go? Are you doing anything in
No.
person? What's
Well,
happening?
yeah, just trying to get schedules going with doing stuff in person, man. Just like I said before, I don't really want to, just I don't want to do anything online right now because just like me being on the computer so much with work and everything like that too, it just all bleeds together, and then I'm like, oh man, this isn't fun anymore. But anyway, yeah, it's just trying to get like an in person, stuff going on with like just small group, and that being my family. Um, i.e., my sister and her kids, and a couple of friends that like a friend or two of theirs. They come over to my house whenever they can, but it's just a matter of just finding schedules. I think we got something going on. I think either not this Friday, but the next Friday. I think that's what we're talked about. Everybody like seeing when they can get together, and we were talking about playing some modern age, man. But when we were talking about all that stuff, everybody just kept on talking about the Mandalorian, and everybody just kept on talking about Star Wars in general, and everybody kept on saying, "Oh, it'd be cool to play a Star Wars game." Hey Jay, have you ever run a Star Wars game? I said I hadn't run a Star Wars game or played in a Star Wars game really since a real one since 1993, back when I was doing like the old D6 Star Wars, and that's the only version that I really played. However, though, I do have a bunch of Fantasy Flight, Star Wars, Force and Destiny stuff. And I started to look through it, just be like, okay, let me see if there's anything I can mine out of this. And, but, back in the old Nerds International days, man, we used to, the Savage Worlds guys and the old Fantasy Flight Genesis guys, man, all we did was just sit there, rub each other's, dicks over the grater and everything like that too. But man, now I'm sitting here reading this and I'm like, this might be fun to run. After I
So,
take a look at it, after I've been reading it, I'm like, I'm probably going to run Star Wars, old Fantasy Flight, Star Wars, Force and Destiny. After all the talk about Savage Worlds versus Genesis, man.
wow.
So yeah,
Um,
right. That's what 2020 does to a motherfucker, man.
turns him into a Genesis player.
It just
Hey,
turns everything. Cats sleeping with dogs, things are topsy turvy, things like that, man. So that you don't know what to expect. And so after reading that, and that being the only Star Wars like hard material that I had, I started getting into it, and I'm like, yeah, man, I can actually dig running Star Wars in this. And at the end of the day, there's two things that I know that I can run pretty well as far as like licensed properties go, and that's a Marvel game, and that's a Star Wars game, just because I've just known those properties so well.
Yeah, you know what's funny is I'm gonna have to reach out to Jamie Pearson now and let him know that you're actually gonna play some of this
Yeah.
here
You have to run some of it.
FFG, right? Because that's the narrative dice system that we slagged on
Yeah.
Genesis so hard for. In fact, it's all
Yeah.
Pearson's fault anyway. He was
It
the
really
turd
is.
that rolled in and said "Savage Worlds Killer" hashtag
Yeah.
Savage Worlds Killer, right?
And we
That
all would have
got
been
down-
fine. We all would have been fine and happy, and because somebody could have came in there and played Powered by the Apocalypse, and nobody said anything. But when he started, the big.
Yeah, that was it, man. Fists were out. So, that's a narrative dice system. And speaking of Jamie Pearson, I think we would be remiss if we didn't wrap the year up with a little Jamie Pearson impersonation.
Oh yeah, let me see if I can bring him back out.
All right,
I'm
so-
Jamie Pearson. Actually, I'm a pretty smart guy because I said all along that this wasn't buried, that this was actually a pretty fine system and it wasn't very hard. So actually, I gotta give myself a little credit. So that's Jamie
Yeah.
Pearson.
Well done.
Yeah.
I feel
Well-
like we could end the show right now and just call it a year, man.
Yeah, but, that's it. That's all I got. That's about the high point I'm going to hit for this year, or this episode anyway.
I say we wrap this bitch up and call her done. Man.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, folks.
It's pretty cool that you actually get a game with your family. I'm a little bit jealous. There's two things that I love in life, and one of them's the Whopper from Burger King, and the other's playing role-playing games. And do you think I can get my damn family to do either of them with me? Hells no.
Well, didn't you and your son used to play back in the day? But I bet you he's probably too busy. You
Man,
know,
he
he's too
found
busy
boobies
giggling
and that
with
was
kids.
it,
Yeah,
right?
that's all you have to do.
The boob showed up and he's like, "Peace out, bro." And I was like, where you going?
Well,
You're
you know, it's
12.
fun. Well, it's funny that in yeah, right. Well, what's funny, like half the people that I play with have boobs. You know, not myself included. You know, I play like I play with my wife, my sister, and my niece, and then
Oh,
the other people, my nephew and friend John, and um my niece's boyfriend. So it's three dudes and three dudes and three women. So
man, I thought you were talking about like, when you were talking about boobs, you were talking about like fat old dudes like I play with
oh
that
no,
have.
no, that's what I was saying. Not myself. Usually that's how it is. Usually it's a bunch of man boobs just like flapping around. But no, these are actually not to not to denigrate my niece and my sister, or my wife even. Thank God they don't listen to any stuff. But yeah, they all have they're all taken
We
care of in
gotta
that department.
we got to select 200 listeners that
Mm,
download and listen to the show on a
right.
frequent basis, and to all of those people, we love you. Thank you for
Exactly.
being the reason that we
Love
come around here. We would
each and
probably
every
do
one of
this,
you.
right? We would do it. We don't need them. That's why we're the clowns that we are, because we don't care. I'm not here
This
to
is
edit. I'm just here to talk to you, Jay. I'm here to have a good time
oh,
talking to you, buddy.
thank you, man. I appreciate that. And this is the way I see it too. This is like the stuff you can't really get on the wild eye or get your opinion. This is like Gary Unfiltered, and I just sort of like help them along.
Me and all my splendid stupidity.
I ena-
Thank you, pal. I
I
appreciate
enable you.
that.
Nah, that's fine. Nah, yeah, hey, that's all good, man. Peace in a pod. That's how we do it.
Oh, I can't believe you're playing Genesis, Jay. That's pretty
I
sweet.
know, and it's well, yeah. I mean, it's crazy, man. But you wouldn't think that. But I actually have a bunch of the stuff for it, and so I might as well run with it too. And the only thing though that is really a big friggin' turd in the toilet is because especially it's the whole Star Wars license is weird because you can't they don't make PDFs for the for anything for Fantasy Flight Star Wars related because they have that weird like electronic license where all the digital if anything digital game related that's all owned by EA and so they can't make any PDFs. So that's really kind of it. Like I said, that's really a bummer. But you make do. Ain't nothing wrong with reading a friggin' hard copy book every
Every
once in a
once in a
while.
while,
Keep it real. Yeah,
right?
got to go back analog. Ain't nothing wrong with listening to friggin' vinyl either. So you just sometimes you got to go back to the old ways, man.
Yeah, every once in a while, man, you got to crush a tree, turn it into a book. That's all there is
Yep.
to it.
Yep. Keep
Very
that.
exciting. So I started I didn't start it. My buddy Jay started. Jason Anderson. Shout out to my bro Jason Anderson. He has kind of become my game master from the few people that I play with.
Mm-hmm.
And we were doing some in persons every second Thursday night. We've played quite a bit of stuff. A little bit of first edition, a little mix of second edition, and stuff like that. We did a few other things that I was talking about. Some of them are systems that I'm not familiar with. I haven't really played. Like I'd have to stop and think about what they were. But we just started, which was super cool. A Star Wars Saga series, I think Saga edition.
Aha. Oh, so you
So
sold D20 stuff. Yeah, if I had any of the materials for that, I definitely want to run that, man, because I checked that out because like I said, I haven't run a Star Wars game in like close to 30 years or even played in one, so it's definitely that's why I'm getting into this too. And you know what? I had no idea too that there was a whole series that they had a whole series like Wizard of the Coast. I knew that they had speaking of Saga because I knew that's when Wizards of the Coast had the license and whatnot. That during that time frame too, that there was a whole like Star Wars miniature game that people were playing. I had no idea. I was just happening to look up Star Wars minis online, and I didn't realize there was a whole friggin' line of them. And so now I'm going on eBay buying a bunch of little minis, for Star Wars games.
oh yeah,
Did you
yeah,
know?
yeah, for
Did you know
sure.
that?
Yep. You should see inside a tabletop simulator some of the assets that you can get. Like if you're looking to run an online Star Wars game in a 3D world, like a complete like on a table and stuff like that. Man, tabletop simulator is the way to go. I'm sure you can get all the character sheets and stuff like that. Somebody's done them all already.
Oh yeah.
But they got all the ships and all the stormtroopers and all sorts of stuff. It's pretty sweet, man. I mean, there's so much Star Wars stuff inside of that with the little buildings and Tatooine stuff and Like, you know what I mean? It's crazy. It's like people just model everything Star Wars because of that reason in particular. The like the actual, instead of, not the role playing game, but you're talking like the miniatures game. Because of that, it's all in there. It's like the Warhammer stuff. There's so much Warhammer stuff on TTS for playing, online and whatnot. So it's pretty sweet. You got anything going on this weekend?
Now the only thing what am I doing this weekend? No, not really. Other than that, just doing what I normally do, which is putzing around.
We got the Wild Die podcast. I'll be recording that on Sunday, which is Savage Worlds podcast that we do with my buddy Eric Lamoureux. We're going to be doing that on Sunday. I got my game. I'll be streaming that on Twitch. Hopefully, I've worked out my audio issues with Discord updating, OBS updating, Windows updating. Something somewhere went sideways, and now I've got a whole new configuration I had to figure out through my voice meter. So that sucks, but I did it, which is kind of sweet. So I should have all that panned out and stuff like that. And then, the continuation of the Outlaws of the Iron Root on Sunday from 7 to 10. And then next week, you got to stay tuned. You got to tune into the Wild Die podcast. No, it's called the Wild Die podcast. We do Wild Die Harder, which is our sort of this version, right? Our video version of the podcast kind of a thing. But guess what we're doing next week, Broseph?
Are you going to talk about the hot new hotness, the sweet new hot chicken, the hot new chicken slappy dappy hotness?
Yep, it's going to be pretty sweet. We got a couple of people coming on. We got some guests.
And what time is that going to be, my dude? So
I think it's 6 or 7 p.m. PST, Pacific Standard Time. Is going to be
right around that. So it'll be 9 Central, 10 Eastern, or
something
whatever
like that. But we're going to have the actual. I think the whoever's writing it is going to be on. I have to ask Eric. He takes care of the business end, man. I just show up and act stupid. That's what
take your shirt off.
Right.
Yeah, go there, take your shirt off.
Show everybody my hot, sexy nips, and
right.
I'm good to go.
Show them that you can still shove them in your mouth after all these years.
Hey, everybody, watch me lick my nipples. And we're out.
Yep.
What are we talking about? Not that.
Right. Yeah. Carl just stands there just like what the hell? What have I done?
What did I get myself into? So on a bright note, that's actually pretty sweet. So we're going to be doing that Savage Pathfinder next week, which is going to be fantastic. We're going to hopefully learn a bunch of sweet nuggets all about it. So I'm pretty excited about that. And that's going to be on the Twitch Wild Die channel. And then, other than that, man, it's Christmas shopping. I think I'm mostly done and ready to go. Like, I'm just kind of sort of hanging out. I'm working next week, and then I'm off for 2 weeks till the beginning of the year. And this show won't come back until we're going to do January sometime, I think, taking the Christmas break off. Just hang out, play some RPGs, do that kind of thing.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
All right, well, let's shoot over to some stuff. Yeah, the wrap-up show part of this deal that we were going to talk about. As soon as I could figure out where my jump is. Where is my jump? Jay, I don't even know where my jump is, man.
I don't know what you did with your jump.
Man, here we go. I think it's this one. But I think I'm going to have to do this too.
Ta-da!
Yay!
Yay!
I bet the people. This is really weird because the people that listen to this podcast are like, "What the hell's going on? Why are they talking about things when we can't see anything? Don't they know this is an audio podcast?" And then the people that are watching us do this like live, where they can actually see what we're doing, are probably like, "Why are they playing a 20-second audio clip? Can't they see that we're sitting there staring at TV, watching them blindly?"
Like, you be quiet.
Yeah, oh my God.
We do us. We do us. Right. I won't tell you how to go off and suck off hobos down at the wharf, you know.
I think we should. And I'm going to go down to the wharf. I'll see you down there.
Right. Yeah. All right. Meet you down at the wharf, pal.
Okay, so this is the 2020 wrap-up show. We're just going to talk shit. We got 40 minutes of just blowing smoke up your ass, talking about things that we found interesting, exciting, things we're looking forward to in the next year. Wrapping up the all the junk that happened last year, and we're just gonna hang out and shoot the breeze. We're gonna talk. We don't have really anything planned. This is the wrap up show.
Yeah. Yeah. Just,
So-
I mean, and there's lots of, is there some stuff to cover? Sure. Is there some stuff not to cover? Sure.
Sure. Point numero uno, number one on the list, is Savage Pathfinder. Man, I cannot wait for this.
Dude, I got to tell you, man, I did not see this one coming. This one came right out of friggin' left field, man, and this one knocked me for a loop when I found out. I was like, surely they meant to play this on April Fools. They're just screwing with us now. But no, it's legit, man. And to tell you the truth, you know what? I played Pathfinder for a good long time, and I'm not crazy about the D20 system, but Pathfinder itself, man, the playing there in Galeria and everything, man, the lore and everything is pretty solid. So I'm pretty stoked about this, man.
Yeah,
this is a solid ass fantasy entry.
What I don't understand is, like, when you take a look at Pathfinder 2, not a system that I've played, but something that I'm aware of, is that they've gone to the wound system, like Savage Worlds uses wounds. Yep. So I'm thinking to myself, why? I mean, maybe because it's old content for them or something like that. And they're like, sure, you can play with our old stuff. We're fine with that. Yeah. Maybe that's why Savage Worlds got it, but. I find it funny that Pathfinder 2 switched from a hit point system, like an attrition system, over to to a wound system that Savage Worlds has used for a long time, and I think is a fantastic system. So that's kind of weird. And then all of a sudden, like, they're like, here's our stuff and whatnot. So it's like, what's going on between these two? That's sort of like a weird, like, Pathfinder is almost sort of with the idea of the wounds coming more like Savage Worlds, although I know it's not. Do you know what I mean? It's got that wounds feel to it.
Right.
So what do we know so far, Jay? Let's see. So this is what we're getting. We're actually getting the Rise of the Rune Lords adventure path. There is going to be a Kickstarter January 21st, which is just around the corner, so save your pennies if you like that. One of the neat parts about it is that we have fantasy settings inside of Savage Worlds. There's Shane Tar, there's Hellfrost, and there's a bunch of others that you can get into and stuff like that. But to pull an actual complete set of lore from another system is going to be cool. I'd be stoked. Well, I mean, it's not like it would be hard to convert or switch over, but it'd be cool if they got Farron and stuff like that. It's all of a sudden all the lore that I've learned since I started playing D&D in first edition. You know what I mean?
Right.
So the Kickstarter is going to include a core rule book it's going to feature Savage Pathfinder rules. Inside that's going to be a box set format, said with all the goodies. And then they're going to put out a Rise of the Rune Lord box sets with like 6 adventure paths. So they're going to be 2 separate box sets coming out at the same time. Mm-hmm. The core book that will probably have Savage Worlds friendly adventure cards, maybe a Savage Worlds or Pathfinder, I should say, deck of cards or something like that. Hopefully we'll find out next week. I got to put that on the notes and see if I can ask and find out. Which will be pretty cool. There's been a lot of interesting chatter over at the old MeWe group that we hang out in, because I've heard that there's going to be like a class-like structure, possibly similar to Rift's archetypes, and it's almost as if they keep referencing Rifts when they talk about Savage Pathfinder. It's like, if you really like Rifts and what we did with that IP, you're really going to like what we did with the Pathfinder IP. And I'm like, that's probably a pretty good idea, right? So
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how they do that to help players build PCs with familiar tropes like fighters, wizards, priests, and mages and stuff like that. And one of the things that a guy told me, Wesley told me, when we were playing, when I first switched over from D&D to Savage Worlds, was that he didn't like the fact that there was no guidelines for class progression. And I think that's one of the things that people like about D&D is you can flip it open to the fighter page and you can look at what you're going to get from 1st to 20th level. Maybe something along that path intrigues you or something like that, but we don't have anything like that in Savage Worlds because it's a more free and open system, right? So they're going to come out with some kind of archetypes to help you do things like build a druid. Maybe you need to take the druid path or whatever so that you can get things like access to shapeshift as a spell that's going to allow you to transform into bears or animals or, things like that. I just think it's going to be fantastic. You know what I mean? Like Savage Worlds, just the way that it runs with the acing dice and whatnot is going to be sweet. You transform into a bear and start kicking ass and taking names. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that. Savage Pathfinder, man. We're going to find out next week. I have a couple of people on the Wild Die Harder. And check that out. It's going to be awesome, man.
Yeah, man.
Interested?
Like to hear all about
No?
that stuff. Yeah, no, I'm totally interested, man. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna have to check that one out. I'll actually have to show up for that and hang out and find out what the haps is, man. Because I am gonna throw some, I'm gonna throw some money into this because I already, I've already had a lot of Pathfinder stuff. I don't think I have anything physical. I think I gave all that stuff to my nephew, but I do have a bunch of the Pathfinder pawns, man. So it's not like I'm already kind of set up to play it, in a lot of ways. So yeah, man, I'll probably back this Kickstarter. In fact, I know I will.
Dave, the Digital
I know.
Dungeon Master, was telling me that he's had a Paizo subscription for a long time, and he was telling me it was actually pretty good, man. You get a lot of minis and a lot of early access to things and stuff like that. So with this, it might be something to look into because you get little not paper minis, but like the cardboard figure flats and stuff. There's a whole bunch of those. You got a bunch of box sets of that stuff, don't you? I think you showed me.
I do. I got a shit ton of the pawns, man. In fact, I actually at one point in time I did have a Paizo subscription. So,
Wow.
So yeah. I mean, and it was pretty nice for what it was.
Wow, that's pretty sweet. What else is on the horizon? You got you got this weird thing called Dunny. What is that all about?
Dunny, your mama's Dunny. No, dude, well, I don't expect that you ever read the book or anything too. But I mean, did you remember seeing the movie, the old Goofy movie that came out?
I sure did. Yeah, with was it Sting?
Yeah, Sting, Kyle MacLachlan, and Patrick Stewart, and everybody. Yeah, the old crazy David Lynch movie. Yeah, I watched that as a kid. And I didn't really get it, but it just fascinated me to some degree. And then when I was in the Army, I read the book, and I haven't read it in close to since then. But actually, I picked up. I do have it on audiobook, and so I was checking it out too and listening to it recently and whatnot. But yeah, man, Modiphius is getting ready to throw out their version of Dune. They're doing it's 2D20, and I know that that's not your favorite system in the world. But let me ask you this really quick. It's funny. Do you know the same guy who designed 2D20 was the same guy who designed Genesis, right?
Wow, really?
Yep.
That explains a lot. The narrative.
Yep, Jay Little.
I would play the narrative Genesis dice system before I ever played the 2D20 system again.
That's what I was wondering too. I mean, there's a lot to kind of dig as far as as far as what the narrative dice system has to offer rather than the 2D20. The 2D20 system, I think, skews a little heavy towards that momentum pool, the threat and momentum pool, where you don't get a whole lot of there's not a whole lot of destiny points or story points. I mean, you just depending on how many as Star Wars goes, you just you roll a force die and how many you get. That's how many players you get. You probably only get 5 or 6. But in 2D20, you get 30 tokens or something like that. Threat or momentum tokens to really just hoard and screw over players or stuff. Right? That sounds about right. If I'm making it up, fine.
I got to unmute my mic. I don't know if this is going to come through very clearly. Maybe if I get it too close or maybe pull it away. No, for some reason it's not showing up. So this is I was having a chat today, just a random chat with my buddy Jason from Nerd Haven. Mm-hmm. And he was asking me if I had any of the Acton Cthulhu books. So we were talking about some things and whatnot, and then we got on to the Savage Worlds version of something by Modiphius. I was telling him about Dune and stuff like that, and he's like, he texts right here. He's like, I can't stand the 2D20 system. Is what he wrote. It says right there on the thing. But man, I played that a couple of times with J.C. Locke in the Conan system, and it's not that I didn't get it. It's just that the Doom mechanic for it was absolute shit. Because you're playing at a table with 4 or 5 people. There was some random his friends and stuff like that, and there was me, and I can't remember who else. Might have been Eric. I'm not sure. But this is the stupid part about it. Everybody gets Doom dice, or you know what I mean, or not Doom dice, but you get Doom chips, Fate chips, kind of a thing, right?
Yeah.
And you can spend them to increase your chance at success or do a thing. And so
Mm-hmm.
some people will spend those stupid fucking chips on the dumbest things, like a notice roll. Just like in Savage
Yeah.
Worlds, you get people spending, bennies on
Mm-hmm.
notice rolls. It's just a thing that we do. And the problem is that chip then goes to the game master, and he gets to put it in his pot, so that he can
Mm-hmm.
do evil and mean things to you, which are things like smash you harder in the face.
Right.
So you've got some players that are spending these friggin' chips on dumb things like, oh hey, look, I don't want to miss out on this notice roll, and then your DM spends them on fucking crushing your skull, and you know what I
Yeah.
mean. It's like, oh, and that's the one thing. If they went somewhere else, it maybe it wasn't too bad, but it's like the Doom chip pot thing in the 2D20 system. When I played it like the two or three times, it just seems to favor the DM. He always, or the game master, he always gets so many of these things to use against you because everybody's using them just to modify the stupidest freaking
Mm-hmm.
rolls, right?
Yep.
It's like, oh, it drove me mental. Was not a
Yep.
fan. Did not like
Yep.
Conan 2D20. Now I've played Savage Worlds Conan with Matt Stark and
Yeah.
Eric Lamoureux a couple of times, right? And it's been good. Like they take the sorcery, something in sorcery, swords and sorcery,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
For
They
Savage
usually
Worlds.
yeah, old you're talking about Beasts and Barbarians. Yeah, that's how you
That's
know
right.
yeah. Yeah, that's all you got to use, man. So really, if you're really wanting to do that in Savage Worlds, you can really ramp that up. And what's the ICRPG deal? What's that one called?
What
Isn't
the
there there's like a sword and sorcery setting for that, isn't there? I
well,
remember hearing word,
there is a
rumor.
there is like an Ice Age one. I can't remember what it's called off by heart, but there's an Ice Age primer thing that they put out where you basically play cavemen and stuff like that. But I don't think there's a Beast and
Mhm.
Barbarians kind of Conan sort of a deal that they put out. Out of all of the ones that they do have, I think you would just end up using the fantasy rules or the rules for the regular sort of fantasy thing, right?
Mhm.
So did you invest in the 2D20 for Dune then? You picked up the
Uh,
books?
no, I didn't pick up. I mean, they're you can get them for pre-order, but I'll just wait until they come out if I'm interested in it or not. I mean, hell, I mean, I might by then. I'm just saying it'd be something to check out definitely if you're into Dune. And it's something I would. I mean, that's a setting that I would really like to get into because it's the best way I can describe it is if you're not familiar with it, it's sort of like space, or like you know sci-fi Game of Thrones because you're dealing with like different houses and stuff and vying for power, and who controls the spice, the galactic spice, and everything like that too. So there's a lot of politics, a lot of subterfuge and double dealing and stuff, and then there's cool mental powers and and like warrior women and all this other stuff too. So it's really pretty cool. Really cool book and really cool setting. So that's why I'd want to check it out. And that is, that seems to be the thing, though, man. It seems to be Modifius is the one to snatch up all these cool licenses, man. They have what is it? They have the Elder Scrolls license. They have they have their minis game for that, and they have Fallout. They have the Fallout license. They have the two Bethesda game ones, and
Man,
and then
Savage
they just have
Worlds
a bunch
needs
of
to get
stuff.
their hand on Fallout or Dune.
Yeah,
There's so many
sparked up.
IPs I'd love to see come to Savage Worlds. It'd be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, and 2D20 has Star Trek too. I would love to see Star Trek come to 2D20, or not the 2D20, but I'd like to see Star Trek come to Savage Worlds. And
Yep.
I'd love to, I'd actually like to see Star Wars go to Savage Worlds. If they got that IP, man, they would. Jeez.
Yep. Yeah, it's perfectly designed for it. Which you know what I mean. That'd be
Yeah.
awesome.
Star Wars at the end of the day, if let's be real here, it's space pulp, and and there's a lot of there's a lot of stuff you can do in that too, man. There's a lot of things that you can use, just like old was it Daring Tales of the Space Lanes? There's a lot of stuff that you can mine that's already there in Savage Worlds to play Star Wars in Savage Worlds.
Man,
But
that is.
I don't want to do the work,
Yeah,
so that's
you're
why
lazy.
I'm
I'm
doing.
lazy.
Yeah, I am.
We're lazy.
Yeah, Right, but also too, this gives me a chance to this kind of like me running Genesis though, or me running the Fantasy Flight version of it. I don't know. I just want to see if I can do it, like stretch my legs out, and and want to stretch myself as test myself GM wise. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Every once in a while, you got to do that. You got to put on your big boy pants and play a proper game.
Yep, you got to get in there and
you
got to get out your comfort zone.
There is a speaking of tabletop simulator, I watched a video last night. Hero Forge has now released the ability to take the miniature that you design inside of Hero Forge and export it as a 3D virtual model for tabletop simulator. I will put the link to that description in the video so that you can actually watch this guy do it. It is super simple. The only shit part is it costs money. So that does kind of suck, but what are you going to do, man? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I don't know what the price is. I should have looked that up and whatnot, but I don't want to go create an account, and I'm probably never going to do it because I have an aesthetic to my game, which is paper minis.
Mm-hmm.
But it would actually be kind of cool if you could make your own character when you're playing Fantasy Inside. You know what I mean? Pop out a 3D miniature and away you go. But yeah, Hero Forge, man. TTS import, buddy. How sweet is that? You're getting antsy over there, Jay, and I feel like I need to move around and shimmy my balls so I'm not sitting.
Oh, no. No, I'm just getting comfortable, man. And just, this has been my only chair down here for like a while, for like a couple of weeks, because I got rid of the couch down here and everything. And so now got different recliners and stuff, and just try to like adjust back to like having to sit in this chair again, even though this is my work chair.
Yeah, sweet. Okay, so we talked 2D20. Let's talk highlights in the year's RPGs for you. What do you got on the go, Jay? Role-playing highlights at your table. Has there been some cool stuff that you've done with your family or that you've been to? I mean, conventions are off the table. What do you got? A favorite product that's come out?
Actually, if the big thing that I was doing, if we remember early back 10 years ago at the beginning of the year, back in January and February, I remember what I was doing is I was running Wise Guys in person, but a variation of Wise Guys. It was like Wise Guys in the 70s, but they were hunting not, like the casino owner, like one casino owner were Nazis and everything, and the other, kind of like worked for the Jewish mob. So that was kind of like my spin on Wise Guys. I'm just going to populate it with like folks from the, just like kind of like a prequel to like what was going on in some senses to how Wise Guys, the little narrative that they have in there. And so I was doing that, and my big thing was buying a bunch of, snatching up a bunch of this, the battle systems terrain. I started getting into that, and just right as soon as the momentum was kicking in with this Wise Guys game, that's when the virus hit. And I was also running, beginning of the year, I was also running Deadlands Lost Colony too in person. But both those games dried up. Both those games dried up. So it was a matter of just like trying to find, just running. I don't know, like I think I ran a couple of things online, not too many, or played in a couple. I remember playing like in a Cypher game, and I was like, this is okay. And I honestly didn't think that much of Cypher.
I want to try it out. I was just listening
to... if you like loot and stuff, it's cool. But no, I think that sort of thing. So you probably dig it, man. You like all that loot.
I do. I like me some sweet loots. I was listening to Savage Interludes, and Ron Blessing was talking about Cypher System. I think it was probably like one of his more favorite systems, and I've never actually looked at it. I think we're gonna have to put that in the docket for next year. Taking a peek at that son of a bitch.
Yeah, we might have to. But well, there's some interesting, like there's some cool, like Invisible, but that's something totally different. Invisible Sun is, it's a Monte Cook game, but it's not like it doesn't use the Cypher system. But that's something totally on its own. But the Cypher system, there's a couple of settings that are really kind of interesting. Well, the Strange is kind of interesting, and Numenera is really kind of if you like sort of these out there sort of fantasy realms, then a lot of the stuff is pretty interesting. Strange and Numenera. What I was looking at too was called Gods of the Fall, which essentially you guys like the old gods are gone, and you kind of like you're like the offspring of these former gods, and you're trying to I guess kind of like reclaim your I guess your
Virginity.
your godhood, or reclaim your godhood or whatever. Not virginity. You can't reclaim that shit once it's gone, dude. And why would you want to?
How dare you? There's plenty of women that have been re-virginized.
After you, probably.
My wiener's so small that I return them to virginity.
Right. You sealed up. Yeah. You sealed it back up.
It's like a can of spray foam, right? Seal it right back up.
Right.
Wow. Oh man, we're gonna get some hate mail for that, but that's okay. I enjoy, any mail's good mail as far as I'm concerned.
People talk to us, please. We're lonely.
So yeah, I haven't played much Savage Worlds this year. I think 2021 is going to be my return to Savage Worlds. A lot of what I've done has been converting my Dungeons and Dragons Adventure League into my ICRPG campaign. I really wanted to play some ICRPG, thanks to Victor Diaz, who got me turned on to that. It is freaking fantastic, man. I don't know what it is about ICRPG. I love the fact that it's kind of do-it-yourself. There's not a lot of rules. You fill in the gaps as a game master, which allows me the flexibility to play the game the way that I want to play it. I would never have the... I don't know. There's a word in there that starts with the P, or whatchamacallit, to sort of create my... And I want to say pompous, but I don't really think that's what people are that write games. But I would like to create my own system. I've thought about it quite a bit with ICRPG and a little blend of Savage Worlds and some of the cool things that I like from other games and shit like that. But I'm hoping by maybe the first, second, third month of next year I can wrap up the storyline for the first edition. We've been playing that every second Sunday, so that's been good. Not a highlight, but a thing that did happen to us this year was the collapse of the Nerds International Gaming Group. I mean, 2020 kind of being a piece of shit.
Right?
Nerds International took a big dump, right?
Yeah, it finally killed all of that, man. I think that was finally 2020 was a nail, put it in the coffin. Now everybody scattered to the winds. I'm not on MeWe anymore, or a bunch of people left, and I don't know what's going on. Yeah, I'm just talking from my point of view. I mean, or anything, but that's what 2020 did.
Yep, it blew shizzle up. No conventions to go to, no people to go hang out with. So yeah, that kind of that's not really a highlight, but it is a big stinker. Harrison Hunt from the 3T RPG podcast. I haven't talked to him in a while. I got to reach out because I'm trying to make a point to maintain contact with my friends. Harrison, I'm not on Facebook, so I don't really get it. I don't contact people that way, and I don't know if he goes on. The way that I used to contact him was through Google Hangouts. But it's not like I couldn't reach out and get a hold of him if I wanted to, right? But I was listening to the award show and stuff like that they put out. But another sort of non-highlight was Harrison had left the Wild Eye podcast this year, which is not really a highlight. It's more of a kind of like, a poo-poo thing. But it is a thing that happened this year that,
right?
You know what I mean? We replaced him with Carl Kiesler, and Carl's great. I love the guy. He's a fantastic addition to the show. But yeah, I also love Harrison. I wish I could actually have them, both on, because Harrison is a pretty fucking funny dude sometimes.
Yeah, no, he's a talented guy, man. He really, he really brought a lot to the Wild Eye when he was on there.
Yeah, he's a hell of a character, man. Funny guy. So yeah, that's kind of the two crap things we got going on. What else happened this year? I started playing with my my buddy Jay. He's been running a bunch of games, so that's actually been pretty good. And then, man, other than that, what came out this year that got me excited? Hey, you know what I still don't have? My Rifts box set is still in America.
Still in America? I mean, hell, it's funny. Like, I got the stuff you sent me. I mean, when did you send that? You sent that in the middle of
March?
You sent middle of March or whatever. No, you actually sent that the end
Only
of
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago. Yeah, that didn't take that long, but yeah, your stuff is still hanging out over the board, over across the border. And that was some stuff that was trickling in. I think that was that Kickstarted the year before? I think it was. I think it was Kickstarted and then it was fulfilled. But the big one, man, was Deadlands. That was a big one that that got Kickstarted this year, and everybody was pitching a fit over that one. And I was really surprised to see how well that did. Yeah, it blew out all the stretch goals, and everybody's happy. And I think all of the at this point now, all of the digital content has been released to everybody.
Yeah.
And now we're just waiting for the physical content if you back that.
And
I did because I didn't have.
What? You didn't back it?
No, I totally did. I backed that. I went all in because I don't have anything. I've never had anything Deadlands. I know there's some people who had, the old, the old Reloaded stuff, but I didn't have anything from that. I have a bunch of PDFs, but I never had anything physical. So, yeah, if it's physical content, especially with those damn, all the stuff you get, the box set for, Horror at Headstone Hill and all those pawns and shit. Yeah, hell yeah, I went all in. And the goddamn little dice tray. I was like, yeah, give me that shit. What do you got? You got a Marshall badge? Yeah, give me that shit. What you got? You got a baby fetus? Yeah, throw that in there too, man. Whatever you got, I'll take it.
Man, I'm surprised they didn't make like Deadlands Marshall cowboy hats. That would have been a seller for an extra $100, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, you throw in another $100 and you get a fitted, Marshall hat. Yeah.
Maybe a little extra for them bandito scarves.
Oh yeah, that'd be pretty nice.
Yeah, that would be actually pretty sweet.
I would want to get a big old sombrero, though. If you get a custom one, that's what I would want. I just want to get a big old sombrero.
Well, you could just go down and get one from across the border. You don't need Deadlands to do that.
Yeah, they don't let it. And here's the thing: I don't think they're letting us in. Into Mexico now too. It's like we're not allowed anywhere, man.
Buddy, nobody is letting you out of the country. What are you talking about?
Yeah, we can't go anywhere.
Never mind closing your borders. Nobody's letting you out.
Right,
letting
exactly.
people in. Everybody's trying to flee.
Yeah, exactly.
What else? So I was smart enough to change my Deadlands address, so that's good. That stuff should get delivered right to my door. I think they're doing a new ETU thing. Oh, my Deadlands Lost Colony came in too, and I haven't even opened the box set. Do you know that I haven't opened up my Savage Worlds box set yet? My Suede box set, still wrapped in plastic, man, because I haven't played it. I've been doing ICRPG all year.
No, I always, take the shit out and play with them at least for a little bit and put some stuff on my shelf. I got all of mine open and whatnot. But yeah, that's the only one that I think I'm waiting on is just like the big Deadlands one, and I think that's supposed to come after the first of the year. The physical content.
Yeah, but I'll be throwing a lot of money at Pathfinder. I'm excited for Fantasy. I mean, Fantasy's been my gig forever, right? But I've been playing it so much this year that I feel like a change, and I'm not quite sure where I want to go. I've got sort of three main pulls, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
I really think, though, if we're going to be real, I really do think that this Pathfinder is going to be another, just like Rifts was, another gateway into Savage Worlds. People love their Pathfinder, man.
Yeah. Oh, I think Deadlands, when it came out, everybody was familiar with it, but it brought in so much money. Like it's one of their top sellers, man. It brought a lot of pee to the pool, if you know what I mean, right? Like, there's a lot of people taking a whiz in the Savage Worlds pool right now.
No, you ain't lying.
From that, we got a lot of people from Rifts, and I think we got a lot of people from this Deadlands Kickstarter rolled in here, started peeing in our pool, and I think Pathfinder is going to sort of do the same thing. It's going to bring a lot of the fantasy playing Pathfinder people over this way. Some people, they get into these kind of things, and they maybe they don't like the crunch in there. Who knows? Maybe want to try a flexible system. I've always kind of had a hard time wrapping my brain around why people would come and play the same thing. Like, it's available for Pathfinder. Just play it in Pathfinder. Why? You know what I mean? So I don't know. But I'm a big dummy, so what the hell do I know? We got 10 minutes left of this bad boy, Jay. We're gonna wrap this sucker up. We were going to do like an Xmas presents things and some community questions, but man, we get to rambling. People have probably already tuned out or fallen asleep. We probably cause more crashes, on the I-5 from people droning out to our voices.
No, I mean, we're covering all the stuff that we want to talk about, and also too, but it's when I wanted you to kind of like expand on the Savage World stuff a little bit too. That you were wanting to get into, like you're wanting to talk about running some ETU, and like Foundry is now offering up Savage Worlds rule set for free with with their VTT.
Yeah, how awesome is that? So they pulled it off. They updated it a little bit. Apparently, the same guy that wrote the original. It's like, what do you call it? It's the outline, right? Like there is no material inside it. It's just here's a character sheet. Here's all the dice mechanics, rolling stuff, and whatnot. So it's just sort of like the basic cookie cutter outline for rolling the dice. You click on a button, it knows to add the wild die and do all that other shit, right? The outline of it's there. But there is no goodies inside of the thing. Like you cannot get any of the weapons or any of the spells or any of that kind of shit. You have to add it all yourself, which fuck that. Honestly, I'm waiting for I went through this with Roll20 when I first got into playing online and shit like that. I found Roll20, and I spent 3 hours a day after work cutting out a PDF version of the monster manual just to bring all that stuff into. And holy shit, man, I spent like probably 3 hours a night for a month. That's like 90 some odd hours I did. And I was like, I found Fantasy Grounds shortly after that, and I'm like, it's already in here? What do you mean it's already all put in here? Like, what the hell? I could just buy it for $50. I didn't have to spend 150 hours. I figure if I went out and collected pop cans for, do you know what I mean, for an hour a night, I would have been able to friggin' not only buy the all the D&D shit for Fantasy Grounds, but I'd had money left over for fucking chocolate bars.
Right.
But no, that is cool. I'm glad they got it. I'm just hoping that we get on the ball with Savage Worlds and Foundry, and they actually bring the book out so that you can just buy the book. I did hear, I think it was Sean Kelly from Gaming and BS describe the difference between Roll20 and Fantasy Grounds. I think I might have told you this, I don't know. But somebody on one of the podcasts said Roll20 is for people with more time than money. Fantasy Grounds is for people with more money than time, right? Because you can just pay for it, right? That was pretty sweet. So yeah, it's cool. I'm glad Foundry got Savage Worlds going on there. I wish that some people would that I know or I hang out with would play it. We did try a game with John Steve. It was pretty cool. But as far as what I'd like to run next year, I'm gonna put on the docket. I'm gonna do some Last Parsec Iron Gate. I've got so many things that I've bought that I've just never played. We did a couple with Matt Stark that were awesome. He blew me up in the second game we played. Friggin' splattered my brains with a shotgun all across the Martian dirt. So yeah, I think maybe next year I'm going to try and run me some Last Parsec Iron Gate. I'll probably try and do that online. I got, like I say, the Deadlands Lost Colony sitting there as part of my Savage Worlds. ETU, I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. It is a fantastic sleeper game, and I'd really like to get into some of that. Like I have all of the Savage Worlds East Texas University stuff, but that's written in deluxe. Not like it's hard to convert, but. And then what else is on my list? Well, now Pathfinder's coming out, so that's probably going to be in there too. Jamie Pearson did a Rise of the Rune Lord podcast thing a little while ago, and I listened to him and Chris Holmes and Tony and them, and it was really good. It was highly entertaining, man. They did fantastic jobs. So yeah, that's on my list of what I'm going to be sort of finish off or try to get in next year. Little Iron Gate, little Lost Colony. I want to get into the space, get away from fantasy for a little while into space. And Last Parsec is basically got everything that I need.
Oh yeah.
My style is I really like the fantasy elements. That's why I like Star Wars. In Star Wars, you have different races. They have different abilities, all that kind of stuff. Last Parsec's the same way, man. You could play a Yeti or any kind of weird, make your own stupid race of whatever, right? That is right up my alley, right? So
right.
What do you got going on? What's on the docket, Jay?
Man, I really want to check out. Like, I want to see if I mean, it's kind of weird that I started getting more into the Star Wars stuff when, like, we don't know what the heck's happening with the Fantasy Flight stuff anyway. I mean, I guess they have the license still, and the company that owns them, I guess they're still making RPGs for some reason. Because at the beginning of the year, they were talking that they were slamming the doors on the whole damn thing. But and then there's talk that another company. So hopefully that they're still holding on to the there's still going to be stuff for the Star Wars license and everything like that too. So I'm going to be looking, trying to looking at that. But I tell you what, I'm really looking forward to, and I think they're going to be kickstarted next year. There's a couple modern age things that I'm looking for. There's coming out. There's a couple of books, but I'm really looking forward to the new release of the Savage Worlds Companions. I know they're coming out. I know they're coming out next year,
Yeah,
They
there
have to
will be
be.
no interruptions with the Savage Worlds companions coming out in this Pathfinder
Yeah,
stuff. That was one of the big bitches that people were having.
yeah,
When are these companions going to come out? And people are like, "Oh, you should wait for Suede to come out with their sci-fi companion before you start doing anything with superheroes or any of that kind of stuff."
right.
But apparently, they're all being written by other people outside of the Pathfinder sphere, so
Yeah,
they're all on track to be released. Hopefully, 2021. I hope. I'm sure they will
yeah.
be because
I
so
I
that'll be
I tell
nice.
you, right, I tell you what would be really cool, and they haven't made any word of it. They haven't made any mention of it, but they sneak that martial arts companion in there. Man, I'd be a real friggin' happy camper. I think they ought to, since 2020 was a shit-tastic year. I think that's what they ought to do over there at Peg Inc. Is sprinkle a little goodness in the form of the martial arts companion our way. You know what I mean?
Man, if they put out friggin' monks that can knock the crap out of people just by karate chopping them in the face with magic
Yep.
hands, I'm gonna be pissed.
Yep.
Leave D
Oh
and D
man.
out of this.
No, no, that's bring martial arts into this, man. Like different styles, like friggin', mana style. I like just name even different style of martial arts, like show like different like boxing edges and like different like wrestling edges and different like judo edges and like throwing people and stuff. Like you can probably like have like a judo, like a judo master edge where they know how to throw and choke people, man. And that you can apply like more strength damage to choking people. You know what I'm saying? Stuff
I
like
know what you're
that.
saying. Are
Stuff
you
like that.
you got any plans to run any super stuff? I know supers is your jam.
Man, I do, but I'm really like I'm waiting for the companion. I'm waiting for that Savage Worlds companion to come out. And then once that comes out, that's really going to really spark my interest in running superheroes again.
Maybe you should write the Savage Worlds karate chopping book.
I wish, man. I wish I could. I wish I was talented, enough to do that stuff. But no, every time I sit down and try to write something, that I try to for mass consumption, I just get mad at myself and then stick my head in the toilet and go out in the garage and start the car, and sit there,
Wow. Oh,
yeah, sit there for a
oh
little while.
man.
So
Well,
I'm
that
really
pretty
hard.
much
I'm really creatively. I'm hard on myself, man. So I don't even bother.
You know what? That pretty much sums up 2020 in a nutshell. I'm going to go out to my carport and, roll the door
Right,
down and
right,
fire the car up, and I'll fucking
yep,
see you next year,
yep,
maybe, possibly.
maybe,
Doubt it.
right.
Uh, that's too funny. All right, well, let's put a pin in this sucker, man. I mean,
Let's do it.
that's the perfect note to end on. Let's see. I'm going to smash this button over here, and hopefully that comes through the microphones. And what are we doing here, man? That's it for this edition of the Murder Hobo RPG Show, 2020, December 9th. We hope you enjoyed it. And now that we've changed networks, what happens, Jay?
We do care.
No, we don't. Who are we fucking kidding, right?
Yeah, who are? Yep, you're right. And so, if you're interested in submitting to community questions, which we don't really do, so you can hear us poke fun at you and not answer your question honestly, you can do so at murderhoboshow@gmail.com. Otherwise, send your hate mail to .2020.
I don't know why it's so dumb, but every time you fucking nail it with those, and it just
I
kills me, man.
try to, man.
Yeah, send your hate mail to 2020. It's
Yeah,
right where
right,
it belongs.
right in the old shit pipe.
Oh my god, man. You can also get us on Twitter at The Murder Hobo Show, on YouTube at The Murder Hobo Show, where I show you how to make three-dimensional battle maps for role-playing in Tabletop Simulator, among other stuff. If you're interested in learning how to play online in a cool 3D environment, check out my YouTube channel. I'll show you how to make maps and all sorts of other stuff, how to bring in paper minis if you're never short of what you need. And yeah, I'm probably going to do a video or just check out the one I'll put in the link that shows you how to bring in some stuff, and I'll find out what the prices are on that. So you can watch me sometimes do this live on Twitch. Sometimes I stream my creations and my whatnot. But yeah, it's completely random when I do that. So this is the part of the show where we ask you to go check out some of the content creating fellow members of the network. And we're going to talk about good old Rob Toohey. Rob Toohey makes a ton of stuff. Like an absolute butt ton of stuff for Fantasy Grounds. The guy's, I think that's actually how he makes his money now, just putting out companions and shit like that for it. It's crazy. But
Right, he's like a 5e guy, isn't he?
Yeah, he does a bunch of
Yeah.
stuff. You can go over there and you can watch him play 5e. You can actually even join in and stuff like that. I'm sure he's got a Patreon, and among other things, you can buy his supplements and all sorts of shit. Man, that guy
Yeah.
needs to be jumping on me, and he needs to be fluffing my ass so that I can get some
Right.
people over here. Like, he's
Yeah.
doesn't
You
need
know-
to do that, but great show, man. It's pretty funny guy. He's an old comedian. I farted, Jay. Did you hear that?
No, I didn't hear it.
Yeah, good. I pulled a
right.
Harrison.
Yeah. That's awesome. So you can find the things that we discussed in the show notes, organized by most recent at the top, over at murderhoboshow.podbean.com.
Yay. Thanks for listening.
Okay.
Be sure to tune in next time. We're going to have another action-packed show where we will talk about things we know little to nothing about and sound professional doing it. Read the last line, Jay.
All right. So have a great gaming week. We are out of here. Say goodbye, Gary.
Yeah, I'm just going to say goodbye, Gary. Goodbye, 2021. You can suck
Fuck
it.
you. Right.
Shitty
Fuck
ass
you,
year.
2020.
Right?
Yeah.
Take it in the back door.
Right. Swirl the toilet, bitch.
On that note, peace out, everybody.